fleece headband video. I've already constructed most of it. I felt like the pictures on the tutorial were very clear. I'm just going to give you some tips. So I made mine narrow, a little narrower than 5 inches, because I felt like 5 inches was a little bit thick. But find out, maybe you'll have enough fabric to do 2. You can find out if you like it thicker or if you like it thinner, even thinner than I made it. I also, she doesn't use the word top stitch, but she means top stitch. So I posted pictures, but she initially turns it right sides together and sews it along the edges. Then she turns it right side out and she top stitches. I added a second row of top stitch for added interest. And I think it turned out really cute that way. But that was my personal choice. You don't have to. You could try something else. You could put 2 seams down the side and maybe 1 down the middle. See how that looks. It's really up to you. I think that would also depend on the fabric we're using. I think this particular flowery fabric might not do as well with like a stripe in the middle, but some other fabric you use might. So just to keep that in mind as far as like being able to alter this pattern later. The other thing you should pay attention to is that she calls for a 1/2 inch instead of a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm just going to move to my machine here real quick to show you a little bit the difference. So a 1/4 inch seam allowance when I'm on my machine means that I line up my foot, I'm out of focus, sorry. Line up the edge of my foot with my fabric. That is a 1/4 inch. So I move it over so that I'm a 1/4 inch past this foot for a 1/2 inch. So this first line is 1/2 inch, and then I went another foot line over basically for this second one. I could have gone in towards the edge and made it a 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch. Again, it's just kind of your personal preference. And this is my machine, so you can measure. You could see like there's all these lines here to help us gauge. I could have just as easily lined it up with this edge here, but that would be bigger. So if I line it up with this, this clear panel here, it's really easy to do that. I can just move my fabric along as I sew. With a bigger one, I could even line it up with the edge all the way over here. For things sometimes if I needed an edge in the middle, I would measure where the middle was, line up my foot, and put a piece of like blue tape or masking tape even on my machine so that I can just go, especially if I was going to make multiples of something for like a gift. Okay, so the other note I had in this project was this circle here. You take the tube, just like you did this one, sew the sides together, turn it right side out, fold it in half, and stitch it across. Do that stitch twice. So I don't know if she says to go over it twice, but I went over it only once, and I can see that there's a lot of stress on these stitches here because this is so thick. First of all, because it's so thick when you're trying to sew all those layers. And secondly, because it's so thick when you're trying to push it, make the bow effect. All this fabric just strains this stitch. Because it was so thick, my machine, I needed to use a longer stitch length. So I used a longer stitch length to sew this, and I should have sewn it twice. I might take it off and fix that actually. You'll also notice I didn't line it up very well, so I might actually take out the stitches and then try to realign it. But again, you can't tell from the front, so I got a personal preference. If that doesn't bother you, no big deal. So then the last step for this project, according to the directions, is to put the wrong sides together, and basically the wrong side is wherever you want this to not be. To sew it across, and then you'll be done. And then she also has you open it and sew it flat, which I think is a great finishing technique, and will it will lay a lot better on your head that way. So that is the video for this headband. I'll show you some pictures when I'm done of the like round finished product, probably on myself even. So have fun with this. Try different things and have fun.